Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 1084 of the Juicebox Podcast. Today on the Juicebox Podcast, I'll be speaking with Rachel. She's 31 years old and has had type 1 diabetes for just a couple of years. This episode goes in so many different directions, I can't really explain it to you here. Rachel has an interesting diagnosis story, and so much more. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. You will receive 5 free travel packs and a year's supply of vitamin D, all for free with your first order of AG1 at my link, drinkag1.com/juicebox. And you'll save 40% off of your entire order at CozyEarth.com when you use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. If you're looking for community and support, or maybe have a couple of questions you can't find the answer to, check out Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes on Facebook. It's a private group with over 43,000 members, and there's a conversation happening right now that you will enjoy. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Dexcom, makers of the Dexcom G6 and Dexcom G7. You can learn more and get started right now with my link, dexcom.com/juicebox. Today's podcast is also sponsored by US Med, usmed.com/juicebox, or call 888-721-1514. US Med is where we get our diabetes supplies from, and you can as well. Use that link or that number to get your free benefits check and to get started today with US Med.
Hi, I'm Rachel from Maine, and I have been a type 1 diabetic since January of 2021. So it's been a little over a year.
Oh, that's very recent. How old are you?
Yeah. I'm 31.
Rachel, look at you getting in the game late.
Oh yeah, it's really special how it happened.
Is it a story? A thing?
It is absolutely a thing.
I want to hear then.
So it's kind of complex, and there's a lot of parts to it.
That's okay. I can pay attention.
Okay. I'll say in the fall of 2021, I was having some insane, debilitating back pain, and it has to do with bulge discs and degenerative discs. I have a terrible, terrible spine, and it was to the point where I couldn't walk, I couldn't drive. I'm in grad school, and at the time I had to withdraw from a class. It was intense. It was really painful. Mm-hmm. And the doctor prescribed oral prednisone, a steroid, and it worked. I was able to actually have some quality of life for a week, and they renewed that prescription for the next week. And kind of midway through that next week, I stopped taking it, even though it was making me feel better, because I was up all hours of the night using the restroom and just getting really thirsty. And it was really just distracting, almost more so than pain would be. So yeah, so that basically it was sort of the start of some of my symptoms. It was just the excessive drinking and urination.
Can I jump in and ask a question real quick? So I have experience with this. So oral steroids, prednisone, can make you pish, as they say.
Right.
So did they tell you that in the doctor's office?
Yeah, no, that was that was normal. And everyone who I've talked to, they're yeah, no, that can make you happen. Mm-hmm. So I really didn't think anything of it.
Were you, the part about being up at night was just for the bathroom, or were you all jacked up? I don't mean Arnold Schwarzenegger in his 80s.
No, I don't think I was all jacked up. I was able to get to back to sleep immediately. I'm a great sleeper.
Okay. Got it.
But it wasn't really until I had a conference, like that was October. I had a conference in Chicago in December. And my husband calls me and he's like, what? Like, you just spent $800. He's like, what did you just buy? And I'm like, well, I can't drink the hotel water. So I just bought, and I was there for 5 days. I bought orange juice and apple juice and like gallons of water, and like daily I was drinking gallons and gallons of liquid of all kinds. And this is like day and night. And I couldn't stop drinking. And at the time also I was like, looking back, I was starving to death or starving myself. And I was just snacking all the time. So yeah, I racked up like an $800 grocery bill, just like mostly like 90% liquids.
So this is an important distinction to me. Did you buy these things through the hotel or did you go to a store to get them?
No, I went to a market.
Okay.
Where,
because through the hotel, it could have been a Twix bar and a bottle of Evian for $800. So I wasn't sure.
Exactly.
But you, oh my gosh. Oh, and what do you think your husband, by the way, have you ever asked your husband what he really thought when he saw it? He's like, oh, she's cheating on me. Is that what he thought?
Oh my God. No, he thought I was just balling out like at gift shops and stuff. And I'm like,
balling out at a gift shop.
Yeah. I'm like, what do you think I'm getting? Diamond plated.
Sweetheart, I have so many spoons that say the Windy City on it. We're going to give them as gifts for years. Wait till you see what I've done.
I know.
Oh, okay. Well, that's crazy.
He wasn't impressed. I mean, yeah, I did come back with souvenirs, but not to that extent.
How long is this excursion at the mini market from the steroids, or are you still on the steroids at that point?
Yeah, no, it was like 2 months later.
Okay.
And within that 2 months, I was so thirsty and I was just snacking all the time. Going to the bathroom like 12 times a night. And basically when I got back from Chicago, like my husband looked at me and he's like, you've lost a lot of weight, like in your face. He's like, I can see it. I lost 10 pounds from October to December. So, like at that point, I'm like, yeah, we were actually kind of joking. I'm like, yeah, I probably have diabetes. Ha ha ha. Not funny.
Wait, you really thought that? Hold on, Rachel. You really thought that? What made you think that?
Well, my niece, she at the time was recently, like very, very recently diagnosed with type 1.
Niece on your side of the family, niece on your husband's side of the family.
So, right. Okay. This is where things get kind of muddy.
We found her in a mall. Did someone steal this girl from a mall and we're trying not to let anybody know where she's from?
No.
Okay. Right.
It's on my side of the family. But she basically, how do I say this? She got it from her father, my brother-in-law. So I kind of knew, like my sister, she's been married to her husband for a long time. So I kind of like knew like diabetes. But right when my niece got diagnosed, the whole family was just kind of like aware of like, oh, here were the symptoms that she had, this, that, the other thing.
I see.
Yeah. So that's how I sort of kind of like, oh, diabetes, like this is kind of similar to what she had, but there's no way because there's no one in my side of the family that actually has type 1. So, it's impossible.
Can I ask another question while you're lamenting? Does your sister have any autoimmune diseases or any women on your side of the family or men?
No.
Okay. Because I mean, your mother-in-law still got to mix this thing with the lady. And then, so it's hard to say it just comes from his side or not. You know what I mean? But
yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So I was just trying to pick through it to find out. Also, before we get too far away from it, I just want to tell you how jealous I was when you said that you came home from a trip and your husband noticed that you lost 10 pounds, that you looked very skinny. Because I've been losing weight recently, and I went to the dentist office and I had lost 13 pounds, and I walked in and I just was like, I'm just going to wait for my accolades, because I'm tight with the people in the office. And I walked in and talking and no one said a word. And I was like, oh my God, I've lost 13 pounds and no one can notice.
Oh my God.
I was like, I definitely need to lose more if this is happening.
I mean, I don't know. I I feel like you must be like really, really close then. You have a lot of dental work done.
I mean, I have a fair amount of dental work done. More than my fair share, by the way, if God is listening. Definitely, but it just was upsetting. I was like, damn it. Like, I wanted someone to like look and go, hey, I can tell that thing you're doing is working or blah, blah. They were just nothing. I was like, damn it. Anyway,
Yeah.
you just 10 pounds on you and everybody's like, uh-oh, she's dying. I'm like, no, great.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I have never really been like on the heavier side. So I think it was
Oh,
very noticeable.
I hear what you're saying to me, Rachel. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. All right, I'm fat. You're not. Go ahead. Tell the rest of your story. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, all right. Yeah. Back to my niece and my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, this is December. And at Christmas, my sister's like, hey, why don't you just try the finger prick? We'll see where you're at. And I was on board. We were going to do it. And then I don't know, some events happened and, just Christmas hubbub. We basically like never got to it. It was kind of on everyone's mind, but again, it was almost like a joking kind of fashion.
Yeah, I
like,
understand.
oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a doctor's appointment. And that's January, right? January 5th. And I roll into my primary care physician. I just ate a granola bar, so I'm sure that like really, really spiked it up extra high. And I walk in and I tell the doctor all my symptoms, everything that's happening. She does the finger prick blood test, and it just reads high. And she was fresh, like 2 years out of her, residency and everything. And she just comes in just like white face and like very visibly freaking out.
Really?
And I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm like, what's up? And she's like, you have diabetes. And I was like, oh. I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, we've been joking about this in my family for some months now. So, yeah, wow. Is this, I'm sorry, also, this is Maine in January?
It is. And so like, we're rugged. It's rugged. You go places, even in the snowstorm. But the medical system up here is not great. And that's part of my story.
Okay.
This doctor is wonderful. She's fabulous. And I hope she stays. There's a problem up here. Good doctors not staying.
Well, I'm assuming people walk outside in the wintertime and think to themselves, I should move anywhere but here. And then they leave, I would think. Don't you think so? Were you born there? I'm
a Maine native. My husband is from south of Boston. Mm-hmm. He fell in love with the place and me. So he's up here, but I don't know. I feel like if
you're from there, you don't know.
The nature and the 4 seasons and not being near other people, it's the place for you.
Do you want solitude and leaves?
Yeah.
Because if you do, Maine has it. Doctors, no, we don't have those. But so okay, so she comes in, she gives you the news. You're not shocked, I imagine, but still upsetting.
Yeah, no, it definitely was one of those like surreal moments. I'm like, oh, okay, this is official now. Mm-hmm. So she kind of goes in and out of the room. She's calling her like her mentor from like her residency or whatever, like just to basically get advice for this because she's never dealt with it. And at the same time, I'm texting my sister who lives in New Hampshire. And I was like, hey, I just got diagnosed. My A1C is like 14 point something. And she's thinking of sending me to the ER. Immediately, my sister like is on the road. She's like, all right, I'll be there. Right. We're like a good 3 hours away from one another. And she packs up. Yeah, it was a whirlwind.
Oh my gosh. So her daughter has type 1 for how long at this point? She
was, I think, maybe like 5 or 6 months diagnosed before I was.
This must have been more upsetting for her than it was for you, maybe even. Like maybe she just felt, you know what I mean?
I think so. But I mean, she was so great. She came And she, in the ER at the time, it was, no visitors or guests were allowed. And she was almost like busting down the door because the folks at the ER were basically like really ticked off at my doctor for even sending me there.
Oh, because of COVID?
No, just because they thought I should have gone directly to an endo. And
well, what was your blood sugar was high? It was over 500 at least.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but it was high.
Yeah.
I think at the ER, I forgot if it was like 5 something that they read.
Maybe the doctor was like, I would like this lady not to like go into DKA and die. If you're not, were you in DKA?
No, but if it's possible, I think that I did have an episode at my house like the week before. I don't know if that's something you can go in and out of, but there was certainly a period where I thought it was like a quick, I don't know, maybe like 3 hours of just complete suffering, shakes and other things I won't mention, but yeah, I don't know. So, but at the ER, no, I was not. I was perfectly fine.
So how do they handle it at the ER? Are you on a IV at this point? Are they talking about bringing your blood sugar? Or are they busy arguing in the back room, like saying like, we have to kick this lady out of here because we don't want to do this? Now let's talk about the Dexcom G7. The Dexcom G7 is a small and wearable continuous glucose monitoring system. It sends real-time glucose readings to your Dexcom G7 app or the Dexcom receiver. Use my link, dexcom.com/juicebox to learn more and get started today. You will be able to effortlessly see your glucose levels and where they're headed. This way you'll be able to make better decisions about food, insulin, and activity. Once you're able to see the impact that those variables have on blood sugar, you'll begin to make more purposeful decisions and have better outcomes. My daughter has been wearing a Dexcom product for so many years, I don't even remember when she started. But today she wears the Dexcom G7, and it is small and easy, and oh my goodness, are you going to love it. Dexcom.com/juicebox. You can head there now and click on the button that will get you your free benefits check, or just hit that other button that says Get Started. When you use my links, you're supporting the production of the podcast. Dexcom.com/juicebox.
Well, both. They were like almost like hesitant to give me the IV. And there's no back room. It was all in front of my face. And I was like, okay, like, can you not talk like that in front of me? So yeah, I did get an IV to bring it down a bit. And then I got sent home with no plan, with no insulin, with nothing.
Did they set you up with a doctor?
No.
Oh.
No. My primary care was working on it. And when I say some of the doctors in Maine are not great, this is like kind of where that comes in. Definitely like the endo. Or it was a group of endos. Kind of the closest ones that could get me in. And it was almost like a no response for 2 days. So I was 2 days without insulin, without a plan. And this is like where my sister like really was awesome. And then we finally got to the endo. And
was the endo pissed at the hospital?
Yeah, actually. And again, this is like I told you, this is complex. There's a lot here. So when we, all three of us, my husband, my sister, and I get to this endo, he reads my records like in a back room. And I will say in November, I had a corticosteroid injection in my spine because I was, again, at the point where like I could barely walk and I knew I was getting on that airplane to Chicago. So I did have an injection. So he comes in, a big gruff dude, and doesn't even look at me, doesn't even sit down. He just walks in flipping papers and says, "You don't have diabetes. You just have residual effects from your steroid injection."
Oh, great. Perfect. By the way, I Googled it and it says people from Maine are friendly, but it says Maine is home to some of the friendliest people in the U.S. I guess they just don't
Oh,
work.
that's great.
Yeah, I guess they're not people you've met so far through the healthcare system.
Yeah, and I think in general, yes, there's a big group of people who don't like people from away because I don't know why. I think just weird cultural differences. But I think a lot of people do like people from away because that helps our economy.
Mm-hmm. I just think I think it's too cold there and it makes people mean. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so now the doctor says to you, "Oh, silly, you don't have." I'm being nice because I'm pretending he's nice. Yeah, I'm assuming he was talking to his feet. He's like, "You don't have diabetes." And I look at here and I look on the paper and you're getting it from the steroids. And so, did you at first think, "Great, it's excellent"?
Oh no, I was like pretty ticked off. I was like, "Who are you coming in here, not introducing yourself or being passionate whatsoever? Like, who the heck are you?" I was like really instantly kind of ticked off.
Yeah. Plus, your blood sugar was high. You were probably extra. Like
exactly.
nasty.
I've been 2 days just like,
Plus, Rachel, not for nothing, you're from Maine. You know what I mean? So I think we're learning.
No. So I was like, I started having intense symptoms in October after my oral steroid.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you should reevaluate. And he said, okay, and left the room. And then he comes back in. Well, I think because he was upset, like I think you mentioned with my doctor's office. And later on, my doctor's office said, yeah, this endo was like mean to our like secretaries and to the doctor here, basically reaming her out for even suggesting that I go there. So he comes back in and now he sits down and looks at me and says, I think you have type 1 diabetes.
Ding, 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 ding. Good job.
I'm like, okay, thank you. So, then he proceeds to, order all the antibody tests or whatever, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And history from there.
Oh, I wonder what he did while he was off figuring it out, redoing his gazintas. Maybe he read the whole file. Yeah. That's fascinating. So, for people who are wondering, what is the link between prednisone and diabetes? Taking prednisone can make the liver resistant to insulin, raising blood sugar levels, and potentially leading to steroid-induced diabetes. Steroid-induced diabetes is more similar to type 2 diabetes than type 1. I don't know what they mean by that. People who use prednisone face the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. That's what they mean by that. I don't see any literature here about steroid use to type 1, but I mean,
yeah. I took a dive into like scientific literature, mm-hmm. like immediately after, and I found a few papers. Yeah, for my specific case, it's the antibody tests. Yeah. There's like one main one. I don't know what they are, but there's like one kind of biggie that's the one that determines if you're, kind of black and white type 1, type 2, I think. And then there were like 3 more. And I was like off the charts for those like random 3. But the one that was like, are you type 1 or type 2? I wasn't, that was normal. So, and I guess like those, whatever those 3 are, I wish I was more.
It's okay. You had the GAD antibody.
Sure.
Gotcha. You're like, it's over. Yeah. I don't care. I didn't care by then, Scott.
Yeah, I don't know. But basically, in short, I had 3 of them that were like significant type 1. Like you have it.
Okay. Yeah, you have it. They should call it the you have it antibody. That's yeah. It actually says presence of GAD antibodies is observed in 75% of people with type 1 diabetes diagnosis. Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, so is your sister with you through all this, or did she just come and pat you on the head and leave?
Absolutely not. So she, and I don't know, I'll say to your listeners, because I'm sure when this comes out, her interview with you will already be out.
Hold on a second. Rebecca. Her name's Rebecca. Let me look in the file.
And I'm sure she talked about me. It was basically like my guiding light. And I know she'll she's listening. Thank you, Becca, for everything, because I was basically the endo just threw me to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And, here's some insulin, and I didn't have a ratio or anything. It was just crazy. So my sister came with all of her, kind of educational materials for her daughter.
Sure.
So like she has nice like infographics and like colorful charts. It's like for parents of kids. So it's what her daughter's endo gave her. And it just helped break things down and help me understand all the different the nuances.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm a year in and I'm still trying to understand some of them. But,
sure.
On my fridge, I still have kind of the graph of how does protein versus fat versus, like sugar, like how do they all kind of make your blood glucose spike or
well, yeah,
out.
It's a new world and a lot of things to figure out. Hey, real quick, is Rebecca's last name hyphenated?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Then hers will be out about 3 months before yours.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I don't know what to call it because I haven't heard it since I recorded it in February and I haven't edited it yet. So I'm not sure what she and I talked about, to be perfectly honest. I wonder if she said horrible. Wouldn't it be crazy if she's like, my sister, Rachel. Oh my God. Listen to me. What a pain in the ass. Those doctors were lovely and she did nothing but just give them trouble the whole time.
Oh, yeah, that's me. I'm a rebel rouser.
I did want to ask you, like, this is going to be maybe a probing question, but do you have a lot of experiences with people that go the way these went or no?
In what context? Like doctors?
Well, just in general, like you meet a person, they're kind of like, they're gruff to you. They didn't quite give you I'm looking at a picture of you. You seem delightful, but I'm wondering if there's something about you that like rubs people the wrong way and you don't know it.
Oh, I absolutely have a resting bitch face. Oh, am I not supposed to say that? You can bleep it out.
No, I mean that word's okay. It's good. That's not one of the words I have to bleep. Does that happen to you?
Not frequently.
Okay. All right. I just didn't know if maybe like you were just like, I don't know, like had an aura around you and people were always like just scared of you or something. Like I'm scared of my wife. I've known her.
I think I'm just like, again, I'm pointing fingers at the medical system. A few years earlier, I had like an emergency room visit for like a rupturing internal abscess, very similar to one of your episodes, the like perianal abscess.
Butthole adjacent you're referring to? My favorite title ever? Yes. Okay.
Exact same weird thing.
Wait, yours was
happened to me.
Wait, yours was in the same place?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And the CAT scan the first time showed it, and they sent me home with Vicodin, and it didn't touch it. And so I went back to the ER, a different ER. So that's why I'm saying, like, sorry anyone who like wants to like live in Maine for a certain doctor or something. This doesn't apply to you, but
I don't want to get off track, but I'm trying to imagine a pain near my butt that is not touched by Vicodin. That must be terrible. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I can't believe I've met two people this has happened to now. It's absolutely the highlight of my day. But
I mean, no, I made my husband like listen to like a part of it. I'm like, look, I'm not alone.
He's like, oh, that guy stayed too.
Yeah.
I gotta go. I can't. I'm not. Goodbye. I'm sorry. Goodbye. I really did love you. I gotta go though.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Well, I'm sorry. How long before the type 1 diagnosis was that? Everybody who has diabetes supplies, but not everybody gets them from US Med the way we do. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. US Med is the #1 distributor for Freestyle Libre systems nationwide. They are the #1 specialty distributor for Omnipod DASH, the #1 fastest growing tandem distributor nationwide, and they always provide 90 days worth of supplies and fast and free shipping. That's right, US Med carries everything from insulin pumps to diabetes testing supplies, right up to your latest CGMs like the Freestyle Libre 2 and 3 and the Dexcom G6 and 7. They even have Omnipod DASH and Omnipod 5. They have an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, and you can reach them at 888-721-1514 or by going to my link, usmed.com/juicebox. When you contact them, you get your free benefits check, and then if they take your insurance, you're off and going. And US Med takes over 800 private insurers and Medicare nationwide. Better service and better care is what US Med wants to provide for you. usmed.com/juicebox. Get your diabetes supplies the same way Arden does from US Med. Links in the show notes. Links at juiceboxpodcast.com to US Med and all of the sponsors. When you use my links, you're supporting the show.
2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talking with my doctor, the primary care, and sort of like my education, my PhD education. We've both sort of kind of have concluded that the type 1 was likely caused by a combination, not just the steroid, but, either a viral or bacterial, like infection at one point that likely mutated something. And then the prednisone just kind of flipped the switch and turned it on.
Interesting.
So,
how's your back?
My back is great. I bought an inversion table, actually, and that really helps.
No kidding. You and I have such a similar story. So, Rachel, let me tell you that my back has been troublesome most of my life. And it wasn't until, also my wife got me an inversion table for Christmas last year, which is very nice to hang upside down if your back hurts at the bottom. By the way, they're not expensive, in case Rachel and I seem like, we're like, let me tell you about my cold plunge tub. Yeah. They're like $200. But anyway, it does help just to kind of like accordion out a little bit. But you know what helped me the most? Because I've had this exact experience as you, where I had to go on prednisone for something else, and my back pain just completely disappeared during it. Mm-hmm. So this is going to sound really crazy, probably. I think I fixed my digestion, and I'm eliminating on a better schedule. And because I'm not, how do I want to say this? Because I'm going every day, I really believe my back doesn't hurt anymore. And I think it's because of that. I feel like, look, what I know about the inside of a person's body is nothing, because I didn't go to college for it. But it feels like when I'm storing poo, my back gets tight at the bottom. Oh
yeah, you're expanded and okay.
So almost like a
nerve. I can visualize that, and that sort of makes sense.
Listen, I could be out of my mind, but if you gave me $50,000 and made me bet on it, this is what I would bet on. This is what I've come up with. I don't have 50 to bet, but if you gave it to me like, Scott, bet on this one way or the other, we have the answer, I'd go with more frequent elimination has reduced and almost completely taken away the soreness in my lower back. So
no, it sounds like science to me.
Yeah. So my question is, are you constipated often?
Oh, no. So, no.
The way you said that was hilarious. You're like, no, that's not a thing. Don't worry.
Yeah, no.
Anyway.
But the table's great. Mm-hmm. I recommend anyone 10 out of 10. Like, if you need surgery, try it first. Yeah. I think if you have high blood pressure, it's not good for you. Because
your head will pop or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that would have been the table wouldn't have given you diabetes for sure. So what if you fell off the inversion table, hit your pancreas and got I guess you could. Do you ever like have that feeling when you flip backwards? You're like, it's not going to hold me and I'm going to fall on my head and die. Do you ever think that?
Well, I don't fully invert. So
no kidding.
I don't feel like I'm that risky.
Gotcha. I like being completely upside down in it.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. Do you know what the hardest part of it is to like, you have to isolate in your mind, your hips and like let go. I don't know if that makes any sense to people, but like you
have to like deep breathe, like yoga breathe. Hey, my 4 dogs are barking outside. Can you hear them?
Yeah, sure. Is the abominable snowman there? Do you want to go help them?
Yeah, let me look.
That's fine.
It's probably just a squirrel.
Take your time. It's fine. I'm going to talk about the inversion table while she's gone. like you flip upside down and you can still feel tension. Like, I don't know, it feels like, this is obviously not technical, but it feels like there's a hinge between your back and your hips and your lower back. And if you just relax in the right way, it just sort of, your body stops holding it together. And then you get that, like, the decompression happens. It just feels like pop, 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 like that. It's very,
it's dreamy. It's dreamy. I got my father one for his birthday.
You're giving them away?
Sciatica, and it's helped.
Yeah, no, I have nothing but good things to say about it. When my wife gave it to me, I was like, where are we going to put this? And she's like, well, if it helps you, she goes, if it helps you, what do you care? And I was like, all right, good point. So you've had a little bit of a thing, but you have diabetes now. Now, in your note, you talk about depression. Did that come after the diabetes?
Oh my gosh. I am usually a really happy person, even though my face doesn't show it. I was definitely, I'd say like 2 to 3 months after, I was like bedridden, sobbing, I couldn't function, didn't want to see anybody. I was extremely, extremely depressed. And I think part of that was hormonal, like the insulin was kicking in and other things, but also like I just felt so alone. I like was looking on like Facebook groups, like, does anyone else have steroid induced diabetes or like adult diagnosed? And it was so hard to just find a community. I really didn't find anything like that. So I was just feeling sorry for myself. And just, I was 30 and my life it was changed dramatically. So I would go grocery shopping. I'd look at the popsicles and I would just sob. Like it was bad, I'm way better now.
Did you like popsicles a lot?
No.
See, I kind of thought you were going to say no, but because
it was like one of those things. It's like I could never be on like one of those survival shows because I have diabetes. You know what I mean? Like, it's stupid.
This got in your way of being on the 29th season of Survivor. You were like, I was really going to try out. Wait, you can't be on Survivor if you have type 1 diabetes?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't watch Survivor, and no, I'm talking like more hardcore. Have you ever seen Alone? That's a great show.
Yes. Yeah. All right, hold on. Can I be on Alone with type 1 diabetes? That's not naked and Alone, is it?
No, but I feel like any of those like actual like raw survival shows, you are really limited to what you can bring.
Were you really planning on ever doing that?
No. My husband and I have been trying to get him to like sign up for The Amazing Race, but that time's gone in our lives.
My wife is like, people would love to watch you and I on The Amazing Race. She's like, we would argue constantly. And I was like, I know. It'd be fun. But all that running. You know what I mean? Boy. I'm not doing that. Okay. So it got in the way of things. This is very interesting, actually, because you're upset about losing things that you never had and didn't want.
Yeah, I mean, but also the things that I've always had and had to adjust and change. For instance, and just like, putting my Dexcom on and like I did it wrong and I have to peel it off or something like that. Like that would just trigger me. Going low, I would just get triggered. It was a hot mess but yes, no, there were definitely stupid things that I would get emotional about.
Mm-hmm. Well, by the way, I did see here you can be on Survivor with type 1. They will let you have your gear.
Oh, so wow.
It's not too late for you to make a fool of yourself on television for fleeting fame and no money.
Yeah.
How do they start you? Like, what's your management like? 3 sticks and a chipmunk, or do they give you a meter? What do they do?
It was just, I don't know. I think it was like 12 units each meal. Here's a meter. Have at it. And it was like that for a long, long time, like months and months and months. And I'm like, just the education from my sister and talking with her like almost daily, and just like this doesn't seem right. And some of I think the insulin he put me on, it was just archaic. Like all the methods were archaic, and she basically kind of calculated a ratio for me, and I started playing with it and it started working. And then when I went back to this endo, I was like, listen, I want a ratio. And he basically was like, he acted like I couldn't handle it. And I'm like, I'm a PhD student. Like, I want a ratio. Give me one. Like, I'm not dumb, man. And so he finally gave me one.
At what point, after you having all these experiences with the doctors, right? Like, is there a moment where you say to yourself, like, I'm not going to get what I need from them? Or do you keep feeling hopeful that, I think there's just a quiet desire in people. Like, they're like, I want this to go well. Like, I want to go and I want to go to the appointment. They're going to say a thing. I'm going to do the thing and that's going to be okay. Like, it's hard to every step of the way, you've described people kind of half helping you. And then, so now that you're kind of, you're like, okay, I have diabetes. We got that part done. I'm past this isn't fair. And I got it because my stupid back hurt and all that stuff. Like now you have to live with it. Do you not walk in there thinking these are the same people who have dropped the ball every step of the way and I'm expecting them to help me with what is now the most difficult part of this? Or do you like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, their nutritionist was really great. But I feel like I kind of outgrew that person. It was just, and it was also an hour from my house, their office. So for I think 6 months I was with them, and then I started calling around, and hardly anywhere was accepting new clients. Yeah. So I actually did find one that was actually a town over from me, and there's one endo, and I only really see the nurse practitioner, but it's been a good fit. So yeah, I left that first endo after like 6 months because it was just they were not helpful.
Not helpful.
They were just, it was not good.
So you figure the whole thing out on your own with your sister, do you think, or did someone finally like step up for you?
No, I attribute all of it to Rebecca. The figuring out insurance with all the gear and the medication, and she helped me every step of the way. Every time I'm like, you're my endo. I mean, because like she has a husband with it, she has a child with it, and she has another child who's about to get it. It's a lot. So she's the most knowledgeable person.
Did you have trouble mining that information for yourself, or were you just comfortable getting it from her, so you didn't look hard for it on your own?
Are you fishing for me to say I was listening to the Juicebox podcast?
No, honestly, I was fishing. I was trying to be nice and ask if you were being lazy about it, but
no, she actually, I will say that. No, she sent me a link to one of your, like, I don't know, your intro ones. And it was so helpful just to help understand, like, what does bolus mean? And yeah, I mean, I do research all day. And so there was a big chunk of it that like I was doing research, but like Googling things wasn't great. And I think I mentioned like there's no community around. So I couldn't really find community.
Yeah.
So she was a big help. This podcast was a huge help.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you. I wasn't honestly fishing. I thought maybe you were just kind of like doing the like, I don't want to do this thing, but somebody's helping me. I wasn't sure which, because I mean, if you were feeling depressed and it was overwhelming, I could see you, I guess lazy was the wrong word earlier, but like if you were just not diving into it.
Like tapping out. No, that's not my personality. I feel like I persevere, and I hated that I was really succumbing to depression. It was just, I worked through it, but it was hard.
No, I can imagine. What makes you come on the podcast?
definitely to talk about the steroid induced stuff because it can happen. But also that I guess I could put a plug in and kind of encourage people to consider clinical trials.
Okay.
Because I'm in a clinical trial right now.
For what?
Yeah, it's called TN27 topple. It's for type 1 people with type 1 diabetes who just got diagnosed within, I think it was like a 48-month time span.
Mm-hmm. What are they looking for?
Yeah, it's a plasmid therapy. So it's actually, I had to go down for 12 straight weeks of injections of plasmid therapy. It's double blinded, so I don't know if I got the placebo or the real thing.
Well, but, based on your interaction with other doctors, I don't think they liked you when they got there and they gave you the placebo.
Yeah, right.
They're like, not her.
Yeah, I know. And again, my sister encouraged me to kind of look into clinical trials, and I went on like a website, and it was just like overwhelming. I'm like, holy cow! Like, there's a lot of diabetes research going on right now, which is awesome. And so I called the Jocelyn Diabetes Center, and I was like, listen, here's my story. I want to help with science. Like, sign me up for something. And they narrowed it down to 2, and the one that kind of worked for my schedule was the topple.
Okay. Do they run that at multiple locations, or is that at Yale? I'm trying to think of where that is.
Yeah, they do. They do. You can only participate at certain physical locations. Places. So okay. I had to travel from Maine to Boston often.
Did your husband get to go home once in a while because of this?
He stayed home every time. I have family that live outside of Boston, so like I was able to like go down the night before.
Oh, I see.
And he stayed home. We have a farm, so he got to do the chores.
Do you have chickens? Do you have chickens?
We have like everything. We have sheep, horses, ducks, chickens, pigeons, you name it.
What is the purpose of this farm? Is it for pleasure?
Yeah. Pleasure, meat, wool, eggs.
All right, hold on a second. You're getting wool from sheep?
Yes, and meat. Sorry, vegetarian.
No. I'm not. Don't be sorry. And so you take the wool, and what do you make with it? Do you make those little wool balls that you put in your dryer to make fluff up your laundry?
I do.
Wait, really?
It's a fun Christmas present. Yeah, those are easy. I don't really make yarn, but yeah, I do like some felted stuff. Honestly, I have bags of it just sitting. I haven't gotten to it in a while. I've been busy.
Can you imagine if somewhere there's a hairdresser who does that with human hair, bags it all up and holds on to it? How creepy would that be?
I bet there is.
Oh, that'd be like, that's the makings of a great horror movie.
Yeah.
And then they capture you, and then they make a hair suit up for you. And then they call you, then they call you Sasquatch and let you go in the woods, and then they hunt you. What do you think of that?
It's hard for me to wrap my head around, but I think you have a very creative imagination.
Thank you. I personally am more impressed with the idea that I figured out you made dryer balls with the wool, because honestly, that is a pretty big stab in the dark, don't you think?
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of people, it's just like one of the easy fundamental things that the sheep can make. Like, it's just so easy. So everyone does it.
Oh, Rachel, this is an indication of your life that you think everyone does that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No one I know does that. Ever. You're the only one. Which is delightful. I was so interesting. You're like, oh yeah, I do that. Like, you said it so casually. I was like, why is she not more impressed that I figured this out? Why is she not more impressed that I know what they are? But you just know what they are, so you think it's like just a common thing.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I have people in my circle who maybe they're just like really crunchy granola people that have stopped using dryer sheets a long time ago. So yeah, I think maybe we should explain just like the inversion table. Dryer balls are wool compact balls that you use in the dryer in replace of dryer sheets. They do help with static.
Mm-hmm. And they also kind of keep things fluffy because the way they keep things separated while they're drying and everything else.
Yeah.
I want to remind people that I once wrote a book called Life is Short, Laundry is Eternal. That's not...
Great title.
Thank you. I think 8 out of 10 people that are hearing this right now are like, I have no idea. I've never heard about wool dryer balls in my life.
Yeah, no, they should try it. It's great.
They should try dryer balls.
Multiple balls.
Yes. Yeah, I think we named your episode Dryer Balls, by the way. Because out of context, it's hilarious.
It might draw some interest.
I'm writing that down. Dryer balls. People will be like, oh, I do have a problem with moisture. Let me see if I can find out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
How to handle this. Well, they're going to be so disappointed 50 minutes into it when they're like, wait, it's stuff you put in the dryer?
Right. Oh, fooled ya.
Yeah, fooled you. Ha ha. Oh my God. I used to work in a sheet metal shop, and it's very hot in the summertime. And I worked with this guy who was absolutely just one of my favorite people that I've ever met as an adult.
Are you talking about dryer balls here?
I'm just talking about like at any point in the day during the summer, if you walked by him, he had like a big container of Ammons powder and he was just jamming it down the front of his pants.
Oh my God.
His nuts must have been so sweaty, don't you think? I mean, he just was doing it constantly.
Just like in front of people, he's just like carrying.
It was a sheet metal shop. We'd all almost cut off one of our appendages and helped each other. Like there was no it was. You have like a little workstation and you had your tools. And in the summer, he had this big. Do people know what Ammons powder is?
I think I've heard of it. Okay. Did you all share it, or was it just his exclusively?
That's insulting. I did not share.
You said you were close.
Not that close. The neck of the thing had been down the front of his, like it was probably bouncing on the top of his, you know what I mean?
Oh God.
Yeah.
I mean,
so, I mean, it was, because he'd really shake. Oh, Ammons has changed the bottles since I was 20 years old. That makes sense for marketing purposes. Yeah, they still make it. Yeah. Listen, I'm not a doctor. I don't know if you're supposed to sprinkle this on your bits or not, but this guy did that. And he seemed happier after he did it.
Well, whatever works.
Sometimes it would come out of his pant leg. You could track him by the...
No. Little footsteps. Like
this is the most genuine laugh I've ever had on the podcast. You could track him by the little, like, trail of powder that he would...
Oh, my God.
So boxers, I'm guessing, right? I mean, it's got to be right now that we're thinking about it.
I mean, yeah, unless he like was really missing the mark.
Okay, maybe he was putting it down his legs too to keep his. I mean, it was hot as I was. You know what I almost said? I almost said it was hot as balls in there.
Welcome to dryer balls.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, it was just, I mean, we worked in a really hot environment with a lot of machinery and, you know, there's no air conditioning. And, you know, like I spent most of my life standing in front of a fan with a fan blowing 110 degree heat air at me. And I was like, oh, refreshing. So it was like a terrible job. That job made me not want to work for real. Like that job focused me on like figuring out something else.
Sounds horrible. And you've opened my eyes to what that's like. And I too don't ever want to do that.
No, geez, definitally not.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Sounds miserable.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to do it. And God bless you if you're out there doing it. Thank you very much. But I did it already and I put my time in. And actually, I've made parts for the space shuttle.
Oh, that's cool.
I once spent an entire summer making a part that I guarantee everyone in here has been within 3 feet of. It's just like, so, you know, when you walk through a door and you step on the thing on the ground or a sensor and it opens, if you look above that door, there's a long aluminum extruded box. And inside of that box, there are parts. And we made those boxes and the parts inside. So I have very likely touched something that you've walked through at a door. This is not a brag. It was worse. Wow. It was the worst summer of my life. But that's only because, no, wait, Arden was diagnosed in the summer. It's probably the second worst summer of my life. But Yeah. So you've all walked past something I've touched. I guarantee it. Anyway.
Great. I will forever think of you when I'm walking through
An automatic door at the grocery store.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. And the space shuttle, which they don't use anymore. So.
Which one?
Oh, gosh. I don't remember. It was the early 90s.
This is for NASA.
Yeah, we made some parts for them. We did all kinds of different stuff there. And then I worked in a paint shop for 2 years, so I'm probably not long for this world, because if you think they made you wear things like masks while you were painting in the early 90s, they did not make you do that. So I can't possibly live much longer. I think about that all the time, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, it was just, I know I'm on my way out, and it's going to be from that. So anyway, that's that. But don't worry, I made $5 an hour. So it's completely worth it, Rachel.
Silver lining.
Yeah. And I know how to keep my nuts dry in a pinch. So, although I've never done it. Oh my God. All right. What else, yeah. Rachel? Is there anything else we haven't talked about that we should have?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I covered it.
You got your thing out? I was laughing so hard a moment ago when I couldn't get out about the trail of powder that I think
crying?
I think I almost
sounded like one of those laughs you'd be crying.
I almost went inaudible. I almost thought, like, I think she might think I'm not making noise right now, but I was laughing and I couldn't breathe. So anyway, it's because I knew what I was going to say next, and I could picture the trail of powder moving through the building. Yeah. Neither here nor there. I wonder if he's alive. He's probably still alive.
Oh my gosh.
Well, he was older than me. Because he was older than me.
Oh.
I mean, I was like a child.
Well,
I'm going to look him up on Facebook. If he's alive, we'll know together.
All right. Yeah, but if he's that much older than you, would he have Facebook?
Of course he does. Everybody has Facebook. Hold on. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's a grandpop now. Look how big his family is. This is so nice. He's still married. Cool. Oh, this is lovely. He's one of my favorite people. Absolutely.
You got to add him then.
All right. I'll do that. Looks like he hasn't posted since December 2022, but that's not that long ago. He's probably still alive. Oh, I'm glad he's alive. Do you think he thinks about me?
I have no idea. I mean,
it's a nice opportunity for you to say something nice to me, but you just let it go.
Yeah, I mean, you clearly remember him, and I don't know.
He still lives in the same place. I could creepy go to his house. I'm not doing that, right?
Bring some powder.
He had such an amazing sense of humor, and he was a hardworking guy. Like, he had a business that was very successful and that he loved, and his business partner messed it up, and he lost that business, and then ended up working in a sheet metal shop, which was something he had never done in his entire life. And I remember him doing it. He was doing it for his family. He was helping his family, and getting back into the world. But I can hear his voice. Such a wonderful way about him. Anyway, let's hope. Sweet. Yeah, let's hope his balls are good. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if you're supposed to put that powder on him or not. Yeah, you don't know either, do you? For sure.
I mean, I would assume he probably passed that knowledge down through the generations, so they're probably all fine.
I'm just gonna Google real quick. Can I put Ammon's powder on my? Well, nobody's Googled it but me so far. Oh yeah, here you go. Preventing swamp crotch. Applying talcum powder to my is applying talcum powder to my genitals harmful? How do I apply powder to my groin? Somebody asked that question. What do you mean, how?
I mean, it is kind of awkward depending on the canister.
Oh, I see what you're thinking about. Yeah. You might have to lay down, right?
I mean, I guess.
Can you imagine if you'd have walked through that room and he was on his back, with his knees up in the air, hilarious that would have been. Oh my God. All right. Well, I'll check on him. Make sure he's, okay. I'll check on that. All right. So how are you doing with your diabetes? Is things going well? Have you hit a stride? Are things where you want them? Have you changed how you eat, how you think? Like, what have you done
Oh
to
yeah.
tell me?
Well, I don't know if I got the real drug or I mean I think I'm just assuming I'm still in a honeymoon phase because I hear it for adults it can last over a year.
Are you not using much insulin?
I use hardly anything at all. I actually ended up getting like a junior pen with a half doses.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You wearing a CGM?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. No pump, just MDI.
All right. And where's your A1C?
Oh.
Do you
I think
not
it
know?
was around, I can't remember if it was like 5.8. Does that sound right?
Does it sound
It was
right?
like,
Are you asking me?
well, now you like have me wondering. I texted it to my sister.
I'm just like, does that sound right? I don't know. I don't know you.
Yeah, I think it's like really good, whatever it is.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it's really difficult for you to achieve. So,
Well, I mean,
do you have a
I think like,
certain?
oh, go ahead.
Do you have a certain fueling style? Like, is there a way you eat, or do you eat whatever you want?
Yeah, I really kind of eat whatever I want, and I'm a grazer, which
Like
everyone's like,
yeah.
you have diabetes, you shouldn't be eating like that. But I think I'm so active that it kind of levels out most of the time. I don't really eat a whole lot of carbs. Some of my dinners are pretty carby.
Do you get low if you don't eat throughout the day?
I used to before I got this junior, like the kid pen with the half doses, because like even there were some days like I give myself 1 unit and that would just be way too much, which is crazy.
And that's for basal or a meal bolus?
The bolus.
The bolus. Okay.
Yeah. My basal, there were, I mean, I kind of go through periods of less and more. And there was definitely like a month where I really didn't have to use it. And I was like, oh, I don't have diabetes. And then psych, yes, you do. So
has anyone ever said LADA to you?
Say that again?
Has anyone ever said LADA to you? LADA?
I don't.
Diabetes?
I don't know what that is.
No? You got to listen to more of the podcast. So, yeah. So latent autoimmune diabetes in adults, latent autoimmune diabetes in adults has a slow onset. And so sometimes adults take a long time to get to their insulin needs. Can happen. So,
yeah. Well, and between that and this clinical trial, I'm going to look that up. That's cool.
Yeah, look that up. And the clinical trials, what's it supposed to, like, if you get the juice and the juice works, what are they hoping it does?
Yeah, they're hoping that the plasmid will basically like communicate with the immune system and basically help stop the attack on the beta cells. To basically like stop the degradation of immune system loss and possibly even repair it.
Okay.
It's almost like I think their thought is like a pre-diabetes type like end goal, but maybe there is a chance that the progression of the loss of my beta cells is slow or completely stops.
I see. Cool. I see. Well, good luck with that. I hope that works. I mean, for everybody, not just for you. You 12 injections on the trial, and then how long do they follow up with you?
Yeah, so this is the year. It's a follow-up year. They'll do 4. I don't know if it's quarterly. There's a few like almost monthly right after the last injection, and then one for like a year from there. So I have 4 follow-up visits. They're the like mixed meal tolerance tests where I have to fast, and they'll give me like a big chocolate protein drink, to see where my level, how it spikes and if it comes down at all. And then they'll take like 40 vials of blood, like,
They'll take all my blood.
On that. That's wonderful.
So did they tell you like say you ended up actually getting the drug? Is this a maintenance drug? Like, would you need it again, or do they not even know that yet?
I don't think they even know that yet. So I'll explain it a bit more. The study has 4 cohorts, and with each cohort, the dosage is increased. So I was in the 3rd cohort. The 4th one is underway right now, and that's the one that has the max dose. So yeah, I don't know. And again, I don't know if they know the answer to that question, but basically we will all find out. Again, it's double blinded, so the researchers don't even know what we're getting. But we will all find out once that 4th cohort has their 1-year follow-up next year. So it's going to take, almost probably 2 years before we all figure out like what we got.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to learn what it was.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm sure everyone is. I always wonder, they must have a way of knowing. Like, there's got to be something about it. Like, I've had other people on who are in clinical trials, and they're like, they tell you that you can't tell, but if you have it, or like if you got the real drug or not. But like, there are people who have said, like, I think I can tell. Do you think you're getting it, or is there really no way for you to know?
I have no idea. I mean, if I'm still Lada or honeymoon or whatever I am, I think that's a hard, I can't really discern the difference.
Yeah, these two possibilities could be overlapping. You mentioned your PhD. What are you getting your PhD in?
Broadly, ecology and environmental science, but it's really kind of looking at like animal epidemiology, disease ecology, parasitology. It's a lot of ologies.
Do you do this for a living now?
I get paid to go to school. Sure. Yeah. I just through the university. Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't have a job in the field.
No, not yet. This is my final year. So I'm starting to look. Wow.
I just had this conversation with one of my son's friends from college. And he's like, this thing I want to do, I think I need a PhD for it, or doctorate, he called it. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, I don't know if I want to like start my life in my early 30s though. He's like, because that's how it feels like it's going to be. Is that how it ends up being?
It can feel that way. I was a high school teacher before I went to grad school, and I worked with like nonprofits before that. So like, I feel like I've had the chance to like have a life, but I wanted that higher education. And now that I am 31 and looking for my big girl job, I feel like I'm a bit behind, especially like, 401k kind of thing.
I'm not retiring, Scott. That's what I'm telling you. How are you getting medical insurance?
Yeah, it's through the university. My husband has a full-time job with the state. So like push comes to shove, I could go on his, but it's super expensive. So university, it's pretty good, except they change it all the time, which is weird. And then
they're just chasing the cheapest plan, probably.
Exactly. And then there's like a gap month, like the month of August is always like this big, like how to do, because no one has insurance for the month of August, or it's like retroactive. So everything that, you have to pay out of pocket and they'll repay you. And I'm like, that's not an option for me.
I don't have the pocket you're referring to. It doesn't have any money in it. Just some loose wool. That's all that's in there, really. And a leaf and some feed that I throw at goats so they don't eat my shoes. Very cool. Well, I appreciate you doing this very much. And it'll be neat to follow up with you after your sister's been on too. Yeah.
I'm excited to listen to her, that episode. But yeah, no, this has been great, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I appreciate it very much. Nothing we missed, so we're good there. You're okay with the episode being called Dryer Balls?
Hell yeah. I mean, heck yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to spell it like dryer, like DRYER.
Oh,
right?
Dry her balls. Sure. Go.
Oh, wait a minute. No, not like that. I'm just thinking. Hold on a second. I was just going to do it DRIER, just so that it there's some what's the word I want? Obfuscate. Why can't I say obfuscate? What's the word I want? You have a PhD.
I'm sorry. I'm just still thinking of dry hair balls.
Yeah, that I actually don't think I can do. I can't believe I couldn't say obfuscate for a second, but anyway, to make it more obscure, I'm going to make it drier.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more alluring. I would click it.
People are like, why? How? Let me find out. And they're going to be like, bags of wool. How do you press the wool down and make, all right, real quickly, how do you make the, because I'm assuming the dryer balls are like more like tennis ball, like firmness. So how do you do that?
Okay, so DIY dryer ball. You take pantyhose and you just shove just wool in the dryer, like in the pantyhose. You tie a knot. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of like ball.
Then you twist it like a sausage,
exactly,
right? Twist it like a sausage.
Like a sausage. Okay. And then you throw it through the washer and then you throw it through the dryer to really compact everything together. You have to felt it,
You have to felt it?
Yeah, that's what the wash does. The water and the soap, it just really kind of makes all the fibers stick together.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. And then can you sell these to friends?
I give them to friends, sure. And I sell them. We used to sell them at like a farmer's market and like a couple events, but
how much can you get for a handful of balls?
Oh my gosh, I think like a 3-pack. Some like really nice colorful ones. They can go for like 15 for a 3-pack. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't sold them in a while. I think I do like $3 or $4 a ball.
Yeah, but when you did, you were comfortable holding the balls?
Yeah, I wish I could juggle.
Yeah. But having 3 or 4 balls in your hand at the same time is not off-putting to you at all.
No, and that's like how many you should probably use in your dryer. Why?
Yeah, 2's not enough.
No.
Yeah. I love that you're from Maine because a lot of my sarcasm misses you. And
yeah,
some of
no,
I
hear it. I feel like I'm more, I don't know.
You're so laid back.
I really
You're like, yeah, like if I just led you down the road, you'd be like, Scott, I love fondling these balls. You have no, like, you just say it like, and you'd be like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, no. I don't care. Like, what? I mean, that's an interesting thing.
It depends on the size of the balls. If there's any grippies,
Do they get unpleasant when they're older?
They do. They don't work as well.
I have a feeling that if we weren't on a podcast, you and I might be having a completely different conversation.
I mean,
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, Rachel, thank you very much. Hold on for 1 second.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Rachel for coming on the show, sharing her story, and being so much fun. And I want to thank Dexcom for sponsoring this episode. Dexcom.com/juicebox. I also want to thank US Med and remind you to go to usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Don't forget to check out the private Facebook group, Juicebox Podcast Type 1 Diabetes, and the brand new Omnipod 5 series, Ask the Expert. That was at episode 1081, 82, and 83. Those are questions from Juicebox Podcast listeners asked directly to 3 experts working at Omnipod who all have type 1 diabetes and use Omnipod 5. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast.